I think this is a very interesting topic. And many will also. The question is what happens in Chinese politics, in the Chinese military right now. What signals is it sending us? Well then, the contradiction between Zhang's faction and the close-knit faction. Peace in the Chinese army. It's climbing. Threatens to erupt into conflict. It's a risk that many people think is entirely possible. These two factions. Then they're posting these bite-sized articles in response to the military online press. There is also a source that tells us that the Chief of the Joint Staff of the Central Military Commission, he was given command of the 82nd Army until the completion of the special mission entrusted by the Central Military Commission. This is the 82nd Army. It's been ordered to be stationed in Beijing, directly responsible for security of the Central Military Commission security of Zongnanhai. So that particular task is exactly what it is. And what signals does it send? And is it that the Truong right faction there take over the security of the entire Zongnanhai or not? And the near-peer faction, what to do in this situation? Then we'll go into details right away. The first, let's talk about the fact that the county took over the 82nd Army. A Chinese blogger. His name is Post. Put this news on the personal media, citing sources from China, that the Central Military Commission, he issued an order to appoint the governor, is the Chief of Staff, Joint Staff of the Central Military Commission, direct command of the 8th Army, until the mission is completed. Special news source. Let's just say that this big HR adjustment it's seen is military. That it's very. This is important. This is very important news. It shows that the Chinese army, in the context of the domestic and international situation, they are doing it. Take specific actions to strengthen leadership, unity of the army, the new Central Committee, and ensure the absolute loyalty of the military, for party and country. The transfer of command. Not only does it show high trust, military felt for General Liu Tin, it also highlights the important role of the court 82nd Army in maintaining security and stability. We know that China's Central War Zone, which is the Beijing Military Region and the Jinan Military Region. It's made up of 3 armies, 8 armies. 8-2 and 8BA in it. The Army Group, the 8-2 is one of the most well-equipped armies and the best training in China today, tasked with protecting the capital city of Beijing. Its predecessor was the 38th Army. It was a good force in the war. North Korea. Because of the outstanding performance, so Ping Duk was always excited to shout, Army BA 80,000 Thai. And this BA-8 is also known as the BA-8, 10,000 Tue Army. So Army Group 8-2. It's also the force that was ordered into Tiananmen, but refused to crack down on the students. BA-8 Army. Many times can intervention in conflicts within the Chinese Communist Party. So it's an army with a very long history. One of such events. It's September 13th, the year is 9 and 7, when Lam Mail crashed the plane in the Lancam. Mao Zedong ordered the German army to win, commander of Shenyang military region, to deploy a division of the complex weighing BA-8 to Beijing-Nankou area, and blockaded some airports to stop Lam's planes. The consequence of landing is the post. The plane crashed in the Lancam. In the process that fled north. Maybe it was a missile strike. In event 4/6 years and 989, the BA-8 Army and Army Group 27 has been mobilized to join the herd, pressure the students. Democracy protest in Tiananmen Square. Commander of the 8th Army. The sage did not obey. Oh. Because he saw only the chairman of the military commission, Deng Xiaoping, and vice chairman of the Central Military Commission signed. But there's no signature of the first vice chairman of the Central Military Commission. At the same time, he was also Secretary General. And he argued that, as a rule, all 3 have to sign, so he didn't obey. And the result is a word. He was taken to a military court and sentenced to 5 years in prison. In the struggle between the Campeche Lake and Jiang Zemin, 2012, Ho side sent the 8th Army to Beijing to confront Chu Vin Kang, close associates, and the powerful arm of Jiang Zemin. And Zhou Yongkang was defeated at that time, so it was the Gypsy Zemin who called for the Peach Lake, and the proposal is for both sides to withdraw. 2015 Truong Yu Heap. It also helps to exercise leading the 38th Army into the Zongnanhai. Disarm the Central Guard and transfer. Director Chao Tan, Deputy Director Wang Tan. So we can see that the 82nd Army, its predecessor was the BA 8th Army, it's always had the can card unstable, the political situation, in the internal struggles in the Zongnanhai. And it seems to be the musketeers. And this time too. The 8th Army was formerly known as the 6-5 Army. He also went through the Korean War and the force that went into Tiananmen too. Pressure Student 1. Some information recently revealed. That's the 8th Army. It was stationed in Zhangjiago, has recently been replaced by Zhangyu. With the 79th Army, capital stationed in Liaoning, and it shows that the 8th Army, not on Zhang's side. We know that after taking command, that army, Mr. Zhang, was quick. Get rid of your cronies for the army. And take extremely drastic and decisive steps in order to protect my place. End of July, 3 large maneuvers were launched simultaneously. 81st Army Group. That's the corporation that's the core of the Central War Zone. Beijing's defense has been fragmented. Zhang cited tensions at the northeastern border to move forces primarily to the 3 northeastern provinces, directly drain manpower, and completely cut off Beijing's defenses. And then the Weight Group. 82 is Zhang's direct line. Was originally stationed around the reservation. They've moved into Beijing to lay out their defenses. As you can see, it's Zhang Yuxiao. He used his right to transfer his forces. It's about creating a safer situation for ourselves and threaten the faction. That practice near average. Some sources say it's the 82nd Army. It's a special operations force and a very elite unit of the Central Military Commission. They were ordered to enter Beijing. He is directly responsible for security of the Central Military Commission and took over the security of the Zongnanhai. And the deployment. This is considered an important measure. That the new Central Military Commission, they do it to deal with the potential risks and ensure security for them. Core Leadership Agency. Then we know that the protection of senior leaders in Zongnanhai of China, they're divided into 5 layers of security. The outermost layer is composed of armed soldiers or the local police force, responsible for controlling the large surrounding area where leadership appears, and their job is to secure the region and stop the threats from afar. The second layer is the local task force. They're usually provincial police or special forces, operating in a smaller radius than the set, focus on monitoring and handling specific situations. The third class consists of officers from the Central Guard. It's a specialized unit of the Chinese People's Liberation Army. Take the responsibility, coordinate and perform high-level protection tasks. The fourth class is the professional bodyguards. It's often called a guard. This is also known as the 8BA4 unit, responsible for the direct protection of the supreme leaders as president of the country and the general secretary, or the prime minister and so on. The innermost class, there is a close guard, chosen to follow the leader, ensure absolute safety in all situations, and these guards are often specially trained and, of course, there's a political background, extremely clean. If the information, the 82 Army was given the task, ensuring security for Zongnanhai, it's probably going to protect the 2 outermost layers. Because the third class is the police department under the command of the party central office, controlled by Mr. In addition, the company special 8-2 can also be protective, the inner rings of the partisans and the senators. There may have been a consensus on Mr. that we know is outrageous, is one who was previously considered the chief of the pariahs, but then there was the action. Turn to the side of Zhang Yu. During the time when the North, it took place from August 1st to 14th, the 8th Army is believed to have been captured by Zhang to protect the security of the North Zone Ha. To protect the senators like a lake, Pichon Jiabao and so on. This is clear, he violated the rule. The Iron Age was established in the years and annual summer meetings of the top leaders of the Chinese Communist Party. They have banned the army operations around this area. In the meetings, this year the 82nd Army crossed the line. It must be approved by a superior before the military, and this is an exception. And the knitting itself, this complex interweaving of the Zongnanhai, both pro-chapter and pro-collective forces, knit together like that, it's made the South China Sea very hot. And it's very easy to get into conflict between 2 security groups. This news source from China also said that on August 2nd BA, then the General Ballast, has summoned all officers of rank, from major or above at the headquarters of the 8th Army too. And we're going to have an extensive motivational meeting. And at this meeting, he saved the independence. It is believed to have transmitted spirit of the expanded Central Military Commission and conference, clearly state that it is work of the Central Military Commission. It will be led by Vice President Truong Yao Heap, lead the whole army. To be resolute, obey the orders of the acting chairman of the Military Commission. Heap, take your orders seriously, at the same time research. Hold the spirit. Zhang Youxiao's speech at the Military Commission Conference. Central expansion ensures unity of thought and unified action in the military. Then, this is a story that's quite special. Because he practices near average, is still nominally the chairman of the Central Military Commission. But now, a lot of rumors suggest that he is the real power. And now the governor again stood out too. That's how you protect your shield. Well, it's clear what it is. The story is no longer simple. Of course, the news that you've established. He had a meeting like that leaked out. We don't know that either. How many % really? How to believe the fake news? But obviously, if there is no fire, there is smoke. It's definitely inside. There is a problem. News like that comes out. Talk about the establishment. He was commander of the 6th. Of the Chinese People's Liberation Army. Chief of Staff of the 6th. Chief of Staff of the Space Force. And Save the Town as well as Truong Loving Union. Participated in the Vietnam-China border war. Save Town, who supposedly used the military language, has been systematically criticized. A series of problems in military management. Ever since he took over the leadership, Central Military Commission. He pointed out that in the past, the military has suffered from chaotic phenomena. It's like a massive indiscriminate purge and an army riot, seriously weakening the strength and unity of the army. It even weakened the whole school. Our city. According to him, and this really hurts people. He said it was the people's army, is the army of the party and the state. It's not the military at all. The privacy of an individual or a family. To achieve this goal, the entire army must eliminate its influence. Harm of the former vice chairman of the Central Military Commission. Former deputy head of the political work department of the Central Military Commission. And restore order back to the main road. It has also been pointed out that, is any attempt to implementing the wrong policy, military chaos, and reinvigorating extreme left politics, you'll have to take a hit from the Army's iron fist. He stressed that the 82nd Army, as the backbone of the Central Military Commission, to shoulder the responsibility of protecting the party's Central Military Commission and national security. All the soldiers. Be aware of the current situation, resolute acceptance, carry out the command to carry out the sacred mission, defending open door reform, ready to thwart all plots of the rebel forces. Reactionary. Well, that speech was made by Liu. It caused a very strong reaction. In Army Group 8 too. Well, the officers and soldiers are all showing the support of shallow heat for this content. It's known as the 82nd Army has entered a state of high alert. Be ready to respond to any emergency. At any time. In the outside world, it's hard to be physical. Really, these revelations. But the tit-for-tat between the camps and the collective. It's clearly shown in a military online newspaper. On August 2nd to 5th, the company's website. Army 81. It's called the Air Force Base Party Committee. In-depth study and execution of Esprit. Political Work Conference of the Central Military Commission. And in that article, mentioned that as the president of at the Military Political Work Conference Central Committee, about the need to strengthen political judgment, political understanding and political enforcement, enhance your ability to prepare for war, and ensure the leadership of the party, permeate all areas, and the whole process of preparing for war. From the 17th to June 19, 2024, Political Work Conference of the Military. The Central Committee was held in Yan'an. In his speech, he emphasized that increase political judgment, political awareness and political enforcement, enhance the ability to prepare for war, unified leadership of the party in all sectors, and the whole process of preparing for war. And also at that conference, Mr. Xi hinted at Mr. Zhang's warning. It is believed that Mr. Zhang is responsible about the matter of the tongue. Zhuang was lucky to escape the purge when he was trained to have a stroke at the Chinese conference BA in 7/2024, and since then, his power has declined. And Mr. Zhang's power gradually increased. He is now believed to be in command of the military. However, in the military, there are also loyal armies with you practice, like the 8th Army and some other armies. This time an air base. The 8th Army published an article that reminded her his speech was rehearsed. Its meaning is, obviously, referring to his warning that it was Zhang. Be responsible for the case. Yes, you are corrupt. The person who was investigated for bribing his superiors. That is, the bribe of Zhang Youxiao. When Mr. Zhang was his former boss at the ministry. Development of equipment. Same day 2 August 5th. The day the 8th Army article was published. The 82nd Army also published an article. The answer to the title is, The Light of Honor of a Company in a Battalion. Combat Support of the 8th 2nd Army Brigade. Illuminating the path of transformation. This article is, in general, it describes this transition is extremely important. It represents a turning point and a turning point. The revolution. Although the article recounted some of the military's accomplishments, but without even mentioning the name of the squash. Mr. Chen Chao, I'm not a political commentator in the United States, has pointed out on personal media that the 82nd Army did not mention him. It's a key point. Because not all the military services avoid talking about exercise. Some soldiers still do that. Article published by the 8th Second Army, Loyalty to the Party and Love of the People, without mentioning the name of the squared set or the accountability system of the chairman of the Central Mr. Military Commission, the analyst. That if you take a closer look at the articles in the military newspaper, then we see the spring-autumn writing. Careful consideration of both mentioning and ignoring the episode. And this highlights the contrast between articles of Army Group 82 and the Air Force of the 8th Army. And this shows that the military is divided into two camps, faction and collective faction. They're in a world of struggle, tension and willingness to confront at any time. Is that what Mr. Chen said? It's the same as we analyzed. Chen Chao said that the 8th Army, with 86,000 troops, soldiers are the most powerful force in the command Central War Zone. And this army? Not mentioned at all. He practices show that their stance. It was completely under the control of Zhang. Then, 86,000 soldiers. A very large number. And in the hands of this army, it's entirely possible that to claim the title, especially if this is an army, but have a very rich combat history. It's also very well equipped. So, well, that's all we've analyzed. It shows that the crisis of his power. It's been widely discussed since the BA 2024 plenum. And so far, even if it's just a rumor. But what we see is that people talk about it everywhere. Then the rumor gradually turned into a reality. I see many partners. His close associates in the military were fired by the SAR, replaced by those close to Zhang. This is completely visible. No need to guess old. The official media and the military press. It has also been gradually removed. Slogans that show loyalty to you. 2442 core sets. Thought collective and chairman. Responsibility system of the Central Military Commission. 2 is the number that stands for 2. For consciousness, 4 confidence and 2 protection. Those 2 settings are to establish his status as a near peer. Is the central nucleus. Party all party. And set the status only. The way of socialism in China. Subpar training era. For consciousness is political consciousness, general consciousness, nuclear consciousness and consistent consciousness. It's actually a deeper development of 2 bodies. The 4 pillars of self-confidence are self-confidence, confident reasoning, regime confidence and cultural confidence. A special Chinese socialism due to close. Jar out. In fact, it's also a twofold development. And the 2 guards are the 2 settings on it. I see that in fact. 2, 4, 4, 2, it's a control system of all party members, Chinese soldiers and people, in order to maintain his exclusive rule of the CAI. Song Kwok, Chinese expert, to speak on our program. IQ New Talk is. His destabilizing power is not just a rumor, these rumors. It reflects the collective sense of power crisis and uncertainty in his position. Both of these phenomena can be observed. The state also declared, "You're a media personality, the first Taiwan. It turns out you're sick." Mr. Song once noted that she attended the summit bridge in Russia in October 2024, and by gait and body language, he must have had heart disease. He said that he was a professor. Spring refers to the later period. Communist Party of China. I believe that their downfall. It's not a hypothetical problem. It's a matter of time. Then the collapse of the Beijing regime, as well as the weakening of his training. It's something that we've talked about a lot. Many people say that it's because of SAO. Talk about it, but it never happens. We should also remember that before the Soviet Union collapsed, then people talked the collapse of the Soviet Union in 2 years, 30 years ago. Now we're talking about the fall of Beijing. I'm afraid it's too late. In fact, Western scholars, they've talked about this a lot. The Spring Tomb is an American historian and strategist. This guy is very famous. He used to be a principal advisor, China's policies and plans, for former U.S. Secretary Michael of State Hill in Trump's first term. And he's also a senior fellow at the Hudson Institute. The Hudson Institute. This is a public policy research organization, based in Washington. They focus their analysis on economic issues, American and international security and politics, and they describe themselves as a nonpartisan organization, but it's often judged to be predisposed conservative. Even so, they still declare DAD is working with policymakers from both the Republican and Democratic parties to create solutions that overcome partisan divisions. The Hudson Institute. This plays a role important in shaping American public policy through research, consulting, and influence the policymakers. Research centers of this institute as the Center of Middle East Peace and Security, Central Europe and Asia, as well as Central China. Let's focus on geopolitical issues, key, for example, like dealing with the threat from Beijing, strengthening the U.S.-Israel alliance, or stop Russia's imperial ambitions. On July 2nd to 5th, the Hudson Institute, they gave a report from the Institute's policy team. In the spring, he became the leader of the group. This report is called China Post. Chinese Communists Prepare for a Post-CCP China Report. It says there was a sudden collapse of the regime. It's not impossible, due to internal challenges such as economic growth, population decline, aging, housing crisis, 7 youth jobs and political corruption. In addition, international trade tensions and debt problems with developing countries. It also complicates the situation. This report gives you policy recommendations to manage risks and opportunities in this transition. The topics themselves include, for example, as the role of special forces, United States' role in stabilizing a China after that Beijing, the Beijing regime collapsed. Then how do we deactivate the weapons facilities? Biological restructuring of the Chinese financial system by privatizing state property and decentralization. Protect Chinese property in the United States. Demilitarization and professionalization liberation of the POA people. Dealing with Beijing's security and espionage apparatus. Protection of human rights in autonomous regions. And for minority groups. Or it's like setting up a process. Reconciliation and truth. To deal with crimes in the past. And then we're going to build a constitutional democracy. With a new constitution. And reporting. They also emphasize the need for prepare for a complex and fraught transition. The challenge means that they're not Western experts. And experts in the world. They never thought of the script. The Beijing regime is not collapsing. It's similar to the Soviet Union. Still going down that road. The way that military development is so big, while the economy is waist thin. Yes, but when the Beijing regime collapsed, it's got a lot of problems, as we just said, to solve. And how to solve it? Who will be the one to solve this, right? Yes, that's the question of the future. That can't be answered. But in front of me, we know that the struggle between the two sides, and the near-average faction, it's a sign that it's before the big upheaval happens. There will be moves. There will be tremendous changes. The labor bouts. It's very intense in Chinese politics. I call it labor of Chinese politics. At the right time sensitive, as his power wanes. And the other factions, they're stronger. Then in the midst of what the United States and China are going through, the biggest trade war ever. In the midst of a time when the world is tense, with wars everywhere. Then we see that it is in that disorder, but there is order. It all has its rules. Let's wait and see. The story will unfold. Please come to the program today. Be paused. Please share your personal views at the bottom. Hello and see you later. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, with those, a Manchester United fan this morning. The sevenfold mood is inevitable. The Red Devils lost to Westby Town in the second round of the League Cup.